So just a quick background on myself. I am not a designer by education or by schooling. I went to school to become an urban planner and ended up actually starting the tool library here in Buffalo, New York as a grad student at the University of Buffalo. So it was an all volunteer endeavor for our first decade of existence. And just recently, we've begun to add paid staff. And the tool library really was an opportunity for me to build a brand from the ground up and learn a lot along the way. And so I do, in addition to serving as the director at the Tool Library, I also do some freelance graphic design. So Tool Library really helped me get into that field and really see the benefit of having good design, especially as a community-based organization. So we will jump right into building a brand. So what your values, your vision, and your voice are. Again, a brand is not a logo. A brand is really a much broader take on what your organization is, what it does, and how you can communicate that out to your community. What are your organizational values? I'm just including some that we have for our organization, but really thinking about like, why do you do what you do? What makes you want to either work or volunteer at your organization? And if you've ever done any sort of strategic planning with your board or any sort of just like organizational work, chances are you've already identified some of what those organizational values are. And so for us, one of them is community. So a safe social space where all are welcomed. And then thinking about both geographic and demographic diversity. And then moving on to the idea of accessibility. So again, trying to build a more equitable economy through sharing and removing cost as a barrier. And then also disruptive. So the idea that sharing economy and libraries of things and tool libraries really challenge a lot of social norms when it comes to consumption and owning and private ownership. So we kind of like to try to inject that into a lot of our messaging. Really good starting point is just writing down some values that you hold near and dear to your organization, but then also really defining what those mean to you. So accessibility might mean something totally different to another organization, but really trying to put some context behind each of those values. So once you've got values, then we can move on to what is your organizational voice? How do you want your organization to come across, whether that's on social media posts, in emails to your members or to potential donors, and just on your website. Again, just some examples that I find us falling into. The idea of that we want to be approachable so that we're friendly, warm, and welcoming, that we want the tool library to be easy to understand. We feel like we could just be your neighbor down the street, someone that you're just borrowing tools from. The idea that we want to be upbeat. So really focused on what can we accomplish together? What are the things that we are actually succeeding at? How do we celebrate those successes? And then just imagining a future that hopefully we are all part of building. Again, like small scale improvements, incremental successes. These are all things that we want to infuse into our organizational voice. And then also humor is a really great way to connect with your audience. I am 36, so I grew up watching Mad TV and Saturday Night Live and Mystery Science Theater 3000. So I have those kind of as grounds for where my humor comes from. And again, a lot of the messaging that is being put out through the tool library social media is, me just writing things. And so really trying to impart that sense of personality and just what makes you a human and not AI generated content. Thinking about what are some descriptors that come to mind when you think about your organization and how you want to come across when you're messaging. So some good questions to ask yourself is, how do you want your organization to make people feel? And if your organization was a person, who would they be and what would they be like? Again, this is a really great exercise for just branding in general, thinking about a brand as a person. And because I have been so involved with the tool library for so long, and we just had to jump into doing social media, a lot of the personality traits associated with the tool library are just who I am as a person. So really don't be afraid to infuse who you are. Those personality traits are what will really make you endearing and really want people to want to see more content from you and want to engage with the content that you're putting out.